Hello dear students. Let's see another closure property of context-free language. Now we are learning fourth property that context-free language is not closed under complement operation. What that means is if L1 is some context-free language given, then its complement L1 bar means L1's complement is not necessarily a context-free language. Note that L1 complement may be a CFL, but at times, many a times, it may not be a CFL. So it is not always closed, isn't it? Under complement operation. Now to prove this, in the earlier video, just in the previous video, we proved that CFL is not closed under intersection operation. Intersection operation. That means L1 intersection L2 is not necessarily a CFL. Now, you just check, I am just writing L1 intersection L2 using De Morgan's law as L1 union L2, but I'll take complement of both L1 and L2 and the entire part complement I will take. Now, all of you know from the set theory and De Morgan's law that A intersection B is same as A union B, but A complement union B complement, the whole complement. This in fact is A intersection B, correct? Now, what this right hand side is? This right hand side is nothing but L1 intersection L2, and we know that L1 intersection L2 is not a CFL, not necessarily a CFL, correct? Now what's the right hand side? Suppose we claim that this right hand side is a CFL. Suppose we claim it. Just imagine that this right hand side is a CFL. Then what we are claiming is L1 complement is a CFL. What we are again claiming is L2 complement is a CFL. And anyway, union of two CFLs is a CFL, but the complement of a CFL, the entire thing itself is a CFL, isn't it? Its complement is also a CFL. But then this is nothing but intersection. What is this? According to De Morgan's law, this is nothing but intersection, the left hand side. But we know that intersection is not closed under CFL. With that, we get a proof that if intersection is not closed under CFL, then this expression cannot give us a CFL. With that, we come to a conclusion that neither L1 complement nor L2 complement can be a CFL. Neither of these complements can be CFL. Just check. Because if we say that this is a CFL for some time, and if we say that this complement is also CFL, then their union will be a CFL. Because you know CFLs are closed under union. And again, if we say their complement is also a CFL, then we are getting L1 intersection L2, and we know that this is not a CFL. So from there, we get a proof that if L1 is a context-free language, then L1 bar is not necessarily a context-free language. I hope you have understood this. Now the another closure property is CFL is closed under Kleene closure operation. Now if L1 is a context-free language, then closure of L1 is surely a context-free language. This is very easy to prove. Very simple. Just say that suppose we are given some CFG. Now note that this CFG generates a language L1 which has all strings which begin with A followed by one or more B's. So AB, A double B, A triple B and so on. Okay, and we are saying that L1 is CFG or CFL, context free language. Then closure of L1. is also a CFL, and it has to be, because what will be closure of L1? Take any string and concatenate it with any other string or repeat a string any number of times. This means 0 or more repetitions. Correct? How do you generate this? Maybe AB is one of the strings, AB joined with AB, or AB A double B, this AB joined with ABB, and any such combination will be there in L1 star. Now, if we rename the start symbol as S1, then closure can be adopted by saying that start symbol S is S1 followed by S itself. Just check, if you use this in our derivation, S will give S1 followed by S, and you know S can give us a string which begins with A. S can give us a string which begins with A followed by one or more B's. So the smallest string will be AB. Yes, the smallest string given by S1 is AB. But this S can again give us S1 followed by S. Correct? And S1 can again give us AB. That means we are going to get AB, the string. But this derivation must stop somewhere. Then we introduce S also derives epsilon. The start symbol can also give epsilon, and definitely L1 star Clini's closure contains a very important string, empty string, because this means 0 or more occurrences. Then epsilon is a part of the string, a part of the language. Then this last S can give us epsilon. That's how we got one string, AB. You can derive any of these strings using this grammar. And surely this is a CFG, and this represents L1 star, the cleanest closure of the original language. Correct? That means closure of a CFL, cleanest closure of a CFL is a CFL, and you can have a CFG for that, and you can draw a PDA for such a language. So you remember the summary is, if we take union operation, then we take intersect operation, correct? Then we take concatenate operation, then complement and closure, cleanest closure. Then what about the closure properties of CFL? Remember, they are closed under union, they are closed under concatenation, but they are not closed under intersection, complement, but they are closed under closure, cleanest closure. Remember these properties. Thank you very much.